The conspiracies we're about to watch together felt like they tried to be hidden from the internet. Watch to the end and you'll find out why.
This teenager was so obsessed with serial killers that she wanted to become one. She idolized and worshipped serial killers so much that at only 18 years old, she wanted to dedicate her life to becoming the most famous and prolific serial killer in all of history. This is a case from Germany, and due to Germany's strict privacy laws, a lot of information from today's case is actually missing, including the true identity of our killer. So we're just gonna call her Sarah. Sarah got her first ever boyfriend, a boy named Leon, and the relationship was really, really intense. And Leon actually ended up breaking up with Sarah because he was scared of her, and for good reason. Because as soon as he broke up with her, she started planning how she would kill him. At this point, Sarah's interests, her life had gotten so dark and disturbing. Sarah became obsessed with serial killers. She idolized them. She was crushing on them like some serial killer fangirl, especially Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. He was the background on her phone, and also she had posters of him and Ted covering her bedroom. And at this point, she's 17 years old to early 18 years old. And I'm just wondering what her family, her parents, think about all this. Sarah began fantasizing about becoming a serial killer, but Sarah didn't want to be like any serial killer. She wanted to be the most famous and prolific of all time. Sarah wanted to have more victims than any other serial killer in history. And she began Googling how she was going to do that. She literally made a Google search that said, what is the best way to become a serial killer? So clearly she's no evil genius. In April of 2021, she bought a very large 12-inch sharp weapon and then began hunting for her first victims. Sarah signed up for a bunch of dating apps and sugar baby sites under the username Domina Cherry. Sarah had a date planned for May 3rd, May 4th, and May 5th, with the plan to kill each man on each date 3 days in a row. But her first victim that Sarah chose was a 39-year-old man named Zayed. Sarah had already told a handful of her friends about her plans to become this terrible serial killer, but right before she planned to meet up with Zayed, Sarah actually left a voicemail for one of her friends, a girl named Francesca, saying that she was about to kill her first one and to wish her good luck. And I know Sarah is known for being a liar at this point, but when Francesca gets that voicemail from Sarah, she doesn't go to the police, she doesn't tell anyone. All Francesca does is make a Google search of her own. Can I get in trouble if I know about a murder? The answer is yes. Zayed picked Sarah up around 8 p.m. and she directed him to a remote cabin that her family owned in the woods that actually did not exist.
Those posters are a red flag. Come on.
This case has gone viral in Korea. The CCTV footage of the killer looking like a happy person, she's just skipping around with dismembered remains in her suitcase. She's got a cute little bob, and it's almost bouncing about. People say it's so unsettling because she has this childlike mannerism to her, this energy to her. There's dismembered remains in the suitcase. The victim, Hannah, was a young woman in her 20s. She was tutoring high schoolers in English. May 26th of 2023, Friday, right around dinner time, so right around 6 p.m. Hannah slowly gets her house ready because this is the first day that this student is going to come over and they're going to tutor in English together. So Hannah opens the door and she's ready to start tutoring. There would have been no way for Hannah to have known that this little middle schooler that she had just let into her home was not actually a middle schooler. Chung Yu-jung was her name. She was not a middle schooler. Yu-jung was not 12 or 13 or even 14 or 15 years old, but rather 23 years old. The middle school uniform that she was wearing was purchased at a thrift store, and underneath it, she was hiding a knife. Within minutes of entering, Yu-jung established that Hannah lived alone. She pulled out her knife and viciously stabbed Hannah. She repeatedly stabbed Hannah in the neck, only on a particular spot / side. That's what a lot of the reports said, which would later indicate to a lot of psychiatrists that she had researched where to stab. She knew what she was doing. She also stabbed the same area on the neck over 20 times.
Oh my God.
Once the 23-year-old pretending to be a middle schooler, finished killing the victim, she relished in the satisfaction of a job well done. She would spend the greater part of the evening at Hannah's apartment, possibly pretending as if this was her own apartment, even changing into the jacket that Hannah wore. She took a jacket out of Hannah's closet and wore it the rest of the night. The jacket that you see on CCTV camera is Hannah's jacket. The killer was stated to have an unhealthy fascination with serial killers and an obsession with true crime documentaries. She killed, dismembered, and disposed of a victim because she, quote, just wanted to see what it feels like to kill.
This man was able to see that Jupiter has rings before NASA had ever proven it, and he did so with something called remote viewing. His name is Ingo Swann, and he claimed to be able to mentally travel to pretty much any location. Well, the Stanford Research Institute began running experiments on Ingo, giving him random coordinates around the world, and in turn, he was able to describe the landscape of each place with precision, despite physically being inside of a research room. Eventually, the CIA caught on, and that's when they formed Project Stargate. Project Stargate was an operation that was funded by the CIA during the Cold War, with the goal to gather information about enemies using these so-called psychic abilities. Ingo actually began training others to use remote viewing as well to help locate weapons in the Soviet Union. During these sessions, other remote viewers were able to locate deep underground chambers, long tunnel systems, and large cylinder-shaped objects that were interpreted as missiles. But what was really interesting about Ingo and his abilities is that he was able to remotely view places beyond our world too. In fact, he was able to describe faint rings around Jupiter and intense atmospheric activity like giant lightning storms. He also said there were mountains on one of Jupiter's moons. 6 years later, Voyager 1 launched and made the closest pass by Jupiter ever achieved at the time, collecting data along the way that had remained unknown until then. And when scientists got that data back, they were shocked that all of Ingo's observations were correct. Jupiter did in fact have faint rings around it, a giant storm called the Great Red Spot, and large mountainous volcanoes on its moon, Io.
They might have cooked our generation. We might just be buying $17 matchas at Coachella because we forgot how to do math. That's because experts are now warning that the last 20-year move to digital learning in school might have just cooked us. You see, not only did recently a neuroscientist testify before US Congress, claiming that Gen Z is the first generation in history to score academically lower than their parents, despite spending more years in school, but Sweden has now piled on. Because turns out, for the last 3 years, they have been quietly investing hundreds of millions of dollars in traditional learning again, moving back to paper and textbooks. Why didn't you guys warn us? As recently as 2024, the United States spent around $30 billion on new laptops and tech in school. And now you're telling us you've been sat on this information since 23? The craziest part is that Sweden, for the last 20 years, they've been a global front runner when it comes to digital learning. In fact, they were a country that even implemented laws aimed at exposing children to as much technology in school as necessary to, quote, prepare them for a life in a digital world. But when they whacked out those results a couple of days later and it was not what they were expecting, they decided we gotta make some changes. So now, not only are they investing up to $120 million in printed textbooks and traditional learning again, but they're even looking to enforce textbook-based learning again by 2028. Now, of course, Sweden's decline in academic scores can't solely be attributed to digital learning. There are multiple factors that will contribute. But, interestingly, it's not just Sweden. In fact, a 2024 report looking at data from over 80 countries found that excessive use of digital devices in classrooms can actually hurt academic performance. And the worst part, this is all before AI. So Gen Alpha, RIP.
Now with AI, everyone's not doing any of their own stuff. It's gonna be bad.
RFK Jr. just suggested that COVID-19 was a bioweapon specifically engineered to spare certain ethnicities and attack others.
In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all of those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so we can target people by race.
So would it really be all that crazy that Jeffrey Epstein, who was literally a supremacist, he only hired people because of their ethnicity, because he believed that they were genetically superior and more intellectual, and then he started working, he literally funded the foundational institutions in science behind the mRNA technology, which just happens to be a dormant version of EBV. So when you get COVID, your long COVID symptoms are actually a reactivation of the Epstein-Barr virus, not named after him, but just a linguistic synchronicity. He decided to work on this pathogen that 95% of people in America already have. So interesting that there's just this one gene trait that people have that are way more likely to get COVID. Just think that's interesting. Anyways, this is my driver, and kind of feel like bioweapons should be illegal. We do not need to conduct experiments.
Yeah, I agree. That's wild. That's insane.
I am not surprised or shocked at all that this continues to happen all across the United States, and nothing is being done about it. And what am I talking about? People allegedly stealing other people's social security cards, getting jobs, and then screwing up other people's benefits and lives all at the same time. And this is not something that's happening on a small scale. There is over 1 million people being affected by people stealing social security numbers and using them to get employment, while you have a ton of issues. Hence, this one woman found out the hard way that someone's been using her social security number because her EBT benefits got messed up by someone else using her social security. Have a listen to this.
If your name is Jasmine Pendeja, I don't know who you are, and you use my social security number to work, enlist yourself as working at Jack in the Box in Encino, California, and then you went and you started working at the other Jack in the Box because you got a promotion, I just called your manager and your franchise operators, and trust, you will be dealt with. You was using my social, and you messed up my EBT benefits, and I found out who you were. So you better run, because you're going to jail. I already told them, as soon as they verify, which I already know, that I'm calling the laws. And the crazy thing is, you've been using my social security number for a long time. But the Department of Social Services said, as long as I have your information, you're going to be persecuted. Persecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
So once again, this is an ongoing issue all across the United States. And over 1 million people are being affected by someone else using their social security card number. And in this case, as you heard, her EBT benefits were cut off completely due to the fact that this individual was making too much money and claiming it by using this individual's social security number. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
How does that even work? How does someone else get someone's social? A data leak?
This slop right here is the food being fed to our American service members in the Middle East as Donald Trump's war with Iran rages on. According to sources, the ships and the bases are trying to ration their food. They've run out, and so they're serving people whatever this is, and carrots. Here's another example of what's being fed to our service members. A tortilla and some beef, it looks like. I mean, this is the food that's being given to them. And while all of that is taking place, there's a food shortage among service members. The morale is incredibly low because that's what they're eating on a daily basis. While all of that is happening, Donald Trump is ranting online right now as I'm filming this about his ballroom and how unfair it is that the courts have intervened in its construction. Our service members deserve better than this, and they deserve a president who actually cares about them and not his little pet projects at the White House.
That's so unappetizing.
Holy Spirit just really clogged my teeth so bad. Let me tell you. So I have been going back into the Gospels lately. I've been trying to start in Matthew again and like really just dive into the life of Jesus and all things he did on the earth, right? I get to the part where it's talking about the Roman centurion that had a sick servant that came to Jesus while he was doing miracles and asked him to heal his sick servant. Mind you, the sick servant is at home, right? Centurion obviously is a Roman soldier occupying Israel at that time. So he is a Gentile, but has so much faith that Jesus literally said with his own mouth, I have not seen this much faith in all of Israel. Mind you, in the midst of his disciples. I believe at this point they were still pretty new, but it just goes to show that it could be the people that you would expect the most, the people in our earthly eyes, the least worthy of Jesus, that could have faith that surpasses all understanding. This man really left Jesus and was like, no, I know if you say it so, I know they're going to be healed. And in that moment, he was healed. Or I can't say he, I don't know if it was a woman, a child, a man, I don't know. But that servant was healed in that moment. And at that point, people would usually bring their sick and like the people that had ailments to Jesus to make sure. And it's like almost like subconsciously, like, I have to see you doing it. But this man, a Gentile, believed it would be so without having to see with his own eyes. Even his own birth mother, like even his own family, his own disciples, they didn't have faith like that. And they saw him doing miracles every day. Isn't that insane? And it really came to my mind because the Holy Spirit brought it to my mind. I remember I was traveling back down from Miami. I had gone to a social media event, right? We were driving on the turnpike and I'm talking about there's like no freaking gas, like for miles. And my dumb behind. I was driving back because I didn't want to deal with my daughter in the back seat. I was like, you could be in the back seat. I'm going to drive. I'm good. So we have about 10 miles of gas left. I'm like, oh, I'll just like, I'll get gas. No, at that point we had 80 miles or something, like a lot of gas. I'm like, I'll just wait until we get to like 10 miles and I'll get gas whenever we pass one. 10 miles hits. There's not a gas station in sight. And literally we're at 0 now. And I feel myself panicking. I'm like, okay, what if we break down? Like I'm talking about we're in the middle of West Bubble. Like we don't know where. And actually it was called Yeehaw Junction. Yeehaw Junction? Me? My color? I don't need to be here. I don't. I was getting so scared. And right at the threshold of us losing gas completely, there's a gas station. And I felt so like, oh, ye of little faith. Like, I can't even trust God with something so small. Anyway, I'm just being real with y'all. Like, we really have to hold ourselves accountable. And just the Bible is so good. It's so good every day. Anyway, as always, make sure you like and follow. Comment down below if you have the same issue.
No, I would just want to wait till last minute.
So this has got to be, in my opinion, the eeriest thing that I've seen in the Epstein files. As you can see, this is from a file marked highly confidential. There's the EFTA number, bottom right-hand corner. But you can see because of the SDNY tag down there, this came from the Southern District of New York's investigation and case. And this is an image of Epstein's mansion, specifically one of his bathrooms inside the mansion. And yes, right above the bathtub, you can see what appears to be a ghostly leg with 2 arms and hands sticking out of the wall. And this doesn't just appear to be any leg. I mean, in my opinion, it looks to be the leg of a child or a teenager. And yeah, I mean, there are so many things wrong with this. Right above the bathtub, I mean, also, I've never seen something like this in my life. The fact that it looks incredibly hyper-realistic.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just scanning through the files in January, looking at everything when I came across this photo, totally just out there in the raw. And it spooked me. I mean, it was genuinely like, what the hell am I looking at? And I get it, people love art. Art can be weird, and I understand that. But Epstein loved to collect the body parts of specifically women. And he had a lot of different works of art depicting these kind of severed body parts and torsos and legs all throughout his different properties. I mean, these are just images from his New York property. I could go on and on. I know that in his Florida home, he had a pair of female buttocks mounted on the wall, which is, I mean, yeah, typical. But to me, there's so much that this piece of art says, and I think a lot of people are missing the point.
What do you guys think? That's super weird. Let me know down below, because this, I don't...
We all remember
that's crazy.
The Red Bull Edge of Space jump, right? Like, seriously, bro, how could you be a flat earther when we have videos and pictures of him up there? There's the curvature. What if I told you that's not curvature that you're seeing, but a wide-angle lens which curves horizontal lines? But even Neil deGrasse Tyson came out publicly and on video stating you can't see curvature at 128,000 feet. Don't believe me? Check it out.
And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner, Edge of Space jump. But the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. You see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space. Look at that. No, he's not.
It's almost overwhelming. Are you standing there in the pressure suits? The only thing that you hear is yourself breathing. You can see the curve there of the Earth. You can see the sky is totally black.
At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
You can see the curve there of the Earth.
You don't see the curvature of the Earth.
You can see the curve there of the Earth.
You just don't. That stuff is flat.
Let me
Who's
get this
lying?
straight.
Who isn't?
So you're saying we're seeing curvature here, but not here? So the next time you're about to say we see curvature from here, but not here, please stop yourself. And of course, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is strictly my opinion. But what do y'all have to say about this? Y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow me, and share this. Let's get this one out to the people. And like always, God bless.
That's what do you guys think? Wow. Who's right, who's wrong?
You believe me if I told you that Antarctica has got to be one of the biggest cover-ups known to man? Would you freaking believe me? Because I have something to talk to you about. You guys have been telling me to look into the map of 1587 for a while now, because we've been talking about the ice wall, Admiral Byrd, like all of the theories surrounding Antarctica. I finally looked it up, and what I found is going to blow your mind. So 1587, right? This guy says, and this is a 9-foot by 9-foot map that is like older than dirt. He basically scanned it and loaded it online, and he found dragons, griffins, mermaids, sirens, giants, and land surrounding everything before the ice. Guys, I'm gonna take you through like screenshots of like, there's all of these things are like different kinds of freaking animals. Around here is like our normal stuff that we would see from my understanding, like our normal continents, whatever. This is why I keep telling you guys everything is more spiritual than it is physical. I'm telling you, there are like other freaking things out there that they want to make you believe is like fiction, right? Look at this. What the heck is that, bro? This is clearly a dragon, right? And we see a large person with that. Do y'all remember the giant of Kandahar? Do y'all remember that giant in the cave that army unit literally saw? And there are multiple witnesses, like eyewitnesses of this, but people still don't want to believe it. Here we go. The size of this dragon, a giant, correct? Yes. Let's move on. Now we got this lion looking thing fighting with this dragon looking thing. I don't know if this is like, I don't know what that is. A large lion. Then we have Brasilia Regno. But on that map, Brazil was somewhere else. It was like all the way on the other side. So is this like another, like, what? I remember how everyone was like, oh, demonic marine kingdom, not real. There's nothing in our waters. What the heck is this? Now, what in the heck? We got person fish or serpent, whatever. And that's very interesting to see that it's a serpent rather than like the traditional fin, because there's actually lore around Lake Michigan of having a half human, half serpent type creature, as well as in Japan. So what if, and I don't even want to say what if at this point, because like, hello, this is the reason we are prohibited from exploring certain parts of Antarctica. This is the reason, okay? They don't want us knowing what's going on. Maybe this is the reason why the Rothies, the Rothschilds, the Rothies is our code, have an island out there. Maybe they trying to catch the sirens too. I don't know. But all I know is this is insane. This is crazy. As always, make sure y'all like and follow. Comment down below what you think. Like, I want to know what y'all think about this one.
Video of David's arrest has been released. So TMZ has been working overtime. They get a whole video of David being arrested by police. Now the video is so satisfying as David does not look happy at all to be arrested. David's case will be presented to the DA's office on Monday for filing considerations. Be sure to check back because I'll update you guys when all of that goes down.
He didn't show the video. It's so annoying.
So you know how when we're outside there's a shadow, right? Our shadow, and it's dark. Well, there's also shadows that are so bright that you can't even see it unless you focus. And the best way I could describe it is like, sorry, I was thinking and then I got to my apartment, but it's like an aura. So that's what an aura is. So have you ever looked at a candle when it's lit up and you're like staring into it and you can see like a clear glow around the flame, but you really have to focus on it? And it almost looks like translucent light. So my theory is that physical objects make dark shadows, but objects that we cannot see with the naked eye, unless we really focus, make more of the translucent shadows. And when you look at the light spectrum, we as humans are very limited. There are things that exist on Earth that we cannot see with the naked eye. But if we focus, like really, really focus, and we start noticing like a translucent, wavy looking object, best believe there's something there. And I'm pointing because I've seen it before. I've seen a spaceship like this before. It looked translucent, almost like a mirror, like reflecting back to me so that I won't notice it, but I noticed it. And I was like, holy shit, that's a fucking spaceship. Like in the fucking broad daylight, and nobody can see it. And I'll have to make another story time about that, but that's just my theory.
Have you ever seen that before? A reflection like that?
Big Pharma is about to roll out and push what they call a smart pill, and I want you to listen to what the CEO of Pfizer had to say about this.
FDA approved the first electronic pill, if I can call it like that. It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that. Compliance.
Yeah, he hit the nail right on the head. Compliance. We are headed to an age of total and complete control. That's what these people want for us. And the first step of taking our power back is taking our physical health back and not relying on Big Pharma for anything. This is why I take Chalk's hot water purified Shilajit every single day. If I can get the proper minerals in my body, therefore my body can run efficiently. Over 5,000 third-party reviews on Trustpilot. This is a no-brainer for me. And I have incredible lifetime discounts for you guys, so comment the word info and check your DMs. Peace and love.
I would never put that in my body. A chip?
If you're ever feeling bad about yourself, just remember that there is a plethora of people that believe that this piece of garbage went to the moon in the 70s. Like, they think this is us. Like, goofy. What a bunch of goofballs. Like, only a simpleton mind. Oh, never mind. I'm trying to keep this account. Like, how do you watch this and not laugh?
That doesn't look real.
This may look like a normal Appalachian cemetery, but in this picture, there's a ghost. And this picture actually comes out of my personal collection. I took this photo just before Halloween about 3 years ago. This was one of the most active paranormal investigations I've ever been on. I caught more photo evidence on this one trip than I have in probably 20 others combined. I'll share some of those other pictures in a different video, but today I want to talk about the little girl in white. So this cemetery is in eastern Kentucky. It's a Pretty big cemetery, a lot of graves, and one whole section is full of Civil War era graves, Civil War Confederate soldiers. The guy who was kind of an expert on this location was telling all the things that happened here, and right as he was talking about the little girl in white, I started taking pictures, and I couldn't believe what I captured. I'm going to zoom in for you, but just right over here in this area, there's something against the tree line. I've zoomed in and it makes it a little blurry, but I want you to notice her head, her hands, her arm, her knees, that she's holding a baby doll. This is one of the best pictures I've ever captured, and there was no one like this in our group.
I do not see it. That's just me, though. I do not see
I need to
that.
know why this guy is not in custody. This is Timothy Hudson, the 16-year-old stepbrother who was charged in the murder of Anna Kepner. He is still not in custody. He is living with family. Federal prosecutors say that the teen who has been indicted as an adult on charges of murder and aggravated SA is currently living with family either at his uncle's home or accompanying his dad to work, despite the severity of these accusations and charges. By now, most of y'all know that Anna Kepner was 18. She was found dead aboard a cruise ship in November, and the medical examiner ruled her death as homicide caused by mechanical asphyxiation. Now, the case has shifted to adult charges. Prosecutors are asking the court to revoke his release, arguing that he poses a danger and should be held in pretrial detention. They describe the alleged crimes as among the most serious and violent ones a person can commit. Her parents have also spoken out, saying it's deeply painful and disturbing that the person accused is still walking free. So the question is, how is someone like this, who did what he did, facing charges like murder and SA, still out of custody? Follow for updates, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make some noise on this, because you know what? The internet does enough. Maybe they'll actually go pick him up and do their job.
How does that make any sense? Oh my god.
You know, in some places it is actually illegal to give birth with dolphins. Why would that be a thing? Just like in Hawaii where they practiced it normally. Why would they ban such a thing? Well, if you're awakened to the fact that everything has been intelligently created, you might be familiar with the divine law, as within, so without. And as you know, we live in Mother Nature, or Mother Earth. So what is the ocean? It's the womb of the earth. The earth is literally 70% saltwater. So are you. There is a reason why this was practiced in ancient time. And I mean, this woman explains how her birth was painless. It was fast. And it was almost like the dolphins understood how to assist her healing. And I mean, you can even see that children come out smarter, ambidextrous. They talk, they walk sooner. Maybe because that's the natural way of life. They have the ability to communicate and heal with humans. They have divine power. That is also why they call heaven, or the sky, the Father, because when it rains, that is the seed that grows Mother Earth. This world is intelligently designed by dualities or polarities, the positive and the negative, and together it creates oneness. Having a child the way the system wants you to is probably, I would assume, the most painful way to have a child, for the mother and the child. They lay you flat on your back working against the magnetic pull of the earth, using all your pushing power under those fake-ass LED lights that are beaming on you in a cold room. It's like they're trying to make it uncomfortable. And on top of that, they cut the umbilical cord when the child comes out. That's why the child starts crying, because it's supposed to retract. That is necessary nutrients the child needs. And they just cut that shit off.
This woman says rich people hunted her like she was an animal, but she escaped.
This most dangerous game, as they referred to it, was a matter of human hunting. And when a mind control slave such as myself was stripped of clothes and turned loose in the woods, I was then hunted by George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Bill Clinton, among others. But they were the main ones. I do not believe that it was necessary for them to have subjected me to this form of trauma. There were so many other traumas going on at the time. My mind was already prime conditioned for mind control program. So I really don't understand it, except for the fact that they found great pleasure in this form of human hunting.
Like the purge. Human hunting.
I have an exclusive update for you guys. Remember Monday when I posted a video of this man? And I said, by now, everyone has seen the video. And you guys were like, hey, so we actually have no idea what you're talking about. Well, this man, his name is Jason Nichols. He had court yesterday. Long story short, Jason showed up to a stranger's house and demanded to be let in to see the stranger's daughter.
Where's your daughter, man? Where's your daughter, man?
What are you talking about?
Where's your daughter? Who's in there with you?
Bro.
He actually ended up breaking into the house, and he was looking through the home when the husband came home with the shovel. The husband and Jason got into a little tussle. They separated, and the husband said, "Are you a vet?" And Jason said, "Yes, sir."
Why do I hear screaming? Are you military? Yes.
Then the husband got the man to go outside where he was arrested because, you know, the police were obviously called. So his bond was originally set at $35,000, and now the bond is set at over $100,000. Also, many things were clarified at the court date. For example, so social media was claiming that the daughter was in the house. That's not true. What is true is the husband's pregnant wife and her 5-year-old son were home and went to hide in the garage, probably when they heard this man come inside after he was screaming and hooting and hollering outside. So fast, smart thinking. Anyway, the same day that I posted the rundown of this video, I got a DM from somebody who says that they knew Jason, the dude who was arrested, from college, okay, or from around college age. They claim that he is not and has never been in the military. He claims to be legally diagnosed as a sociopath, but nobody believes him. They basically said they think it's a front so that he avoids being hurt after years of being hurt himself. They talk about his MRI scans that showed actual holes in his brain from drug use as a minor, but he doesn't drink, smoke, or do drugs anymore. They said he's a big teddy bear. He would only use violence to protect someone. I don't know. Putting this DM together with what we actually saw, and now we know there was literally no daughter in the house, this man was clearly having some kind of mental breakdown, maybe psychosis. His lawyer is really going to have to dig in on that. I'm really just glad that everybody made it out okay, and I can't believe I'm getting DM exclusive now. That's what we do here, baby, okay? Journalism.
Battery low. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching. Chat with you in the next video.
I am genuinely fucking terrified right now. If scrolling on social media doesn't scare you at least a little bit, let me remind you that a study from Harvard found a 400% increased risk chance of dementia in people ages 30 to 40 that's directly linked to scrolling on TikTok. Yes, 400%. I swear to God. And honestly, I can feel it happening to me as well. I have noticeably gotten stupider in the past 2 years. And I used to be able to articulate myself so well. I would be able to write essays in 2 hours and get straight A's. Now I can't get through telling a single story without saying or at least 15 times. I'll be mid-sentence trying to think of a word and I just simply won't know. I knew something had to change because as a former 8-hour-a-day doom scroller myself, I noticed this happening every single day. I tried using the Apple screen time blocker, but I would simply catch myself pressing the bypass option and continuing to scroll on TikTok. So instead, I downloaded this app on the App Store called Spool. The reason Spool works so well in lowering screen times is because it introduces friction before entering some of your favorite apps like TikTok. It does this by giving you a written or spoken reason before entering some of your favorite apps. This small pause before entering some of your apps makes you realize how automatic scrolling became. And it's going to bring you back into your conscious control. For the 0.001% of people who actually watched this far into the video, you guys should definitely click that follow button so you can get a daily reminder to put your phone down.
They're using ticks as bioweapons. This is Plum Island, where they're genetically modifying ticks and other animals to release them upon us as bioweapons. It's no surprise that Lyme, Connecticut is extremely close to Plum Island, okay? They're genetically modifying these diseases on this island and bringing them to the mainlands. Lyme disease and alpha-gal right now are one of the most prevalent tick-borne illnesses, and it's no surprise that Bill Gates is A, funding a lab-grown meat that does not affect alpha-gal, and B, he is funding research to create a vaccine for Lyme disease. So here he is again, creating the problem, creating the solution, and profiting on both ends.
Creepy Real Photos That Keep Me Up at Night Part 90. This photo was submitted to a blog called The Science of Ghosts. The person who submitted it said, "This photo was taken on a digital camera by my nephew while he and a few friends were on a road trip in Canada. The group stopped off at a house in the middle of nowhere after a day of driving. This photo was snapped of my nephew's friend Matt. They don't know who the head in the background is. We call this photo Matt in the Head. Follow for more Creepy Real Photos."
AI-generated child abuse content increased 26,000% in 1 year. AI-related cases of child exploitation exploded from 6,000 to 440,000 in 1 year. And you want to know what's most terrifying? Predators don't even need access to your child anymore. They just need a photo. So parents, if you don't realize what's coming down the pipe in this next AI generation, it might already be too late. Because the greatest threat to your child's safety right now is not technology, it's ignorance. Your ignorance. There's a docu-series out right now called Sexploited in America that every single Christian parent in America needs to watch. Click the link in my bio or comment the word guard and I'll send it to you. Because choosing to do nothing is still a decision you're making. And your children, whether you like it or not, will live with the consequences of that decision.